What's up, Inklings? Thank you for joining the Indie Fantasy Club today. We've got a few updates to cover, so I'm just going to keep this one pretty casual. The first thing I need to talk about is my TBR. When I initially sent out the invitation for indie authors to send me their books, I was a lot smaller, which I'm still a small creator. I have obviously less than 1,000 subscribers. I have about 1,000 over on TikTok, but I've already pretty much, I feel like I've started to hit my limit just from a reading capacity. When I made that video inviting people to send me their books for review, I made a bunch of, I guess, rules for myself. And I still want to stick to those for the most part. But I just want to change a few things slightly. I think I have like 50 books now on my TBR. And I read at about 3 or 4, between 3 and 5 books per month. So at that pace, you know, that TBR is going to last me all the way through 2026. Unless something changes. Unless I get a lot of time on my hands and can read a lot more. Which I don't see happening in the near future. I do have a full-time job, I have a family, I have other hobbies. There's a lot on my plate, but I do this because I enjoy it, so I'm not complaining. I love hosting the Indie Fantasy Club. But let me kind of just explain to you some of the challenges that I'm having with the constraints that I've put on myself. So I basically said that I'll read indie author submissions in the order that they submit to me. So it's a first-come, first-served basis. I still want to stick to that. But what I'm struggling with is sometimes I'll read a book that I really enjoy, and I want to read the rest of that series. Kings of Paradise is a great example of that. That's a finished series. It's a trilogy. And ever since I read the first one, I've wanted to read the other two. But I'll just never be able to finish that series if I stick with this rule that I've made for myself. So that's number one, my first challenge. It's just that I want to finish a lot of these series. The Lost War series I'd like to finish. I'd like to read the next book for Design of Darkness. I really enjoyed that one. So I just want to be able to have a little bit of freedom to continue some of the series that I enjoy. And then I think that will provide my audience with better content because I can not only talk to the books that I enjoyed, but the entire series that I enjoyed, and I can tell you the best series in the indie fantasy realm. But if I never have enough time to finish a series, I can never produce that type of content. The second thing is the SPFBO Awards, which is the Self-Published Fantasy Blog-Off competition, has been running for 10 years, which means there have been 10 winners, which means that we are now going to have a Champions League for all of the winners of self-published fantasy for this competition. And I felt like this is a perfect competition for me as the Indie Fantasy Club host to participate in. Unofficially, of course. I haven't been invited by the person who runs that competition to actually participate in it, but I think it would be fun to give my 2 cents and rank those winners. They're all great books, but rank those winners, you know, from 1 to 10. And I've already read 2 of them. I've read The Sword of Kaigen and The Lost War. And then I've purchased Murder at Spindle Manor and By Blood, by Salt. So I'm already kind of ahead of the curve there, and I just want to participate in that. What I might do is I might read one of the SPFBO winners, and then a submission, and then a winner. And I might do it like that until I'm through all of the rest of the winners in that category, and then I might do the same thing with series if I need a break from kind of just going through the list and, you know, break it up with something that I think that I'll really enjoy. So that's the first big update. It's just kind of I would like to have a little more flexibility with my reading queue. I know that can be a little bit frustrating, but I just think that that's what I have to do to keep my own sanity. Next up, let's talk about another thing that I've struggled with, which is, again, from that video that I put out, I said that anything that rated below a 5, I just wouldn't make a video about it because I don't want to damage the reputations of indie authors. What I'm struggling with is a lot of times I will read these books and then I'll go through the rankings and it will be less than a 5. I've basically spent all that time reading a book that I then don't get to produce content about, and it kind of sets back my video schedule that I can produce for my audience. So I think I might have to change that, where if I read your book and it's either a DNF or it's below 5 out of 10 on my indie ranking scale, what I might do is just keep your name and book anonymous and still go through my feedback of that story. And then that will save me time of having to basically write out all of those critiques, which I have been sending privately to these authors, and allow me to just make those critiques to my audience so that they can learn from these things that I'm observing in these books, and so that the author can get a more in-depth review of feedback of the issues and challenges I had with their story. So if you've already submitted a book to me and you don't feel comfortable with that, reach out to me and let me know, and we can kind of see what plan we can do there. Okay, and finally, we are getting close to 1,000 subscribers. So here's what I'm planning as kind of a reward for reaching that next milestone. Number one, I've started working on a website so that I can post my reviews on there, so that I can put my TBR on there, so it's a little bit more transparent of what's coming next on the queue. I'm creating a Discord channel so that we can have a Discord community as part of the Indie Fantasy Club. I'm not really a Discord user, so I'm kind of just getting more familiar with it, but it kind of just feels like Slack. When I think about it like that, it makes it easier for me to process. So we're going to create a community like that, and I'll put the link in my YouTube description when we reach that milestone, so that if you want to join that group, I'll have different channels set up that we can talk about and have discussions, and it'll allow you to connect with other indie fantasy authors and network a little bit, get critiques, get advice. I think I have some ideas for what we can do to really enhance this community that we're building. I'm also going to do a live stream probably. I don't know exactly what we're going to chat about, but expect a live stream so that if you want to come and interact with me in real time, I want to leave that open. I'm going to do a little bit better of a job than I did with the last live that I did, and we're going to make it a lot shorter. So it's probably only going to be an hour.
And we're not going to read a book all the way through out loud.
That was a little much for me. I pretty much lost my voice for a week after I did that. So we're not going to do that again. And then the other thing is we might update the shelf. So if there's a particular color of background that you'd like to see, maybe you should vote for it in the comments. Or maybe I'll do a poll. We'll see. I feel like I'm forgetting something, but I think that's it. So that'll have to do it for today's channel update. Hopefully it doesn't cause too much distress. Feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.